how goyim, how we think that Gentiles have perfect lives?
I think that we explained.
They don't.
I know that, of course.
No, but I'll give you a perfect example. You know that Sylvester Stallone's daughters have a podcast, and so their mom. So Sylvester Stallone is 75 years old, and his wife is 53, and so and she's like a former model. She's still kind of a what do we call it, smokestack, and
Smokestack.
and she's still kind of a smokestack, and she tells a story of how she's telling her daughters about her their grandfather, how when she was 11, when the mom was 11, the father died suddenly of a heart attack on a golf course at 47 years old, and how her mom had to she never had she was like a stay-at-home mom, and she had to go get a job, and her mom became an alcoholic, like their grandmother, and it's like this whole crazy story, and then the sisters had to raise each other. These are Sylvester Stallone's daughters, the aunts. They all had to raise each other. So I'm sitting there watching this supposedly attractive Gentile woman who probably doesn't have, at this point, doesn't really have a care in the world.
Dude, I know. I've seen the Joy Luck Club and Angela's Ashes. I know that goyim don't have it easy.
Yeah.
You see, don't you wish you were recording that?
I am recording that.
Oh, nice.
Angela's Ashes.
Yeah, that movie. Gosh.
What was the movie about anyway? I didn't even see that.
Just Irish misery. It's just this awful Irish misery. Just bless their heart.
That's very funny. So we ended off on this whole thing of talking about Haredi people and people who are Bali Tshuva and people who are who kind of hide their past.
Yeah.
And we're trying to think about why that is. And you brought up this whole thing of it's called Tohu and Tikkun.
Yeah.
So let's get into that.
Okay. Before we get into Tohu and Tikkun, I got to talk about a movie.
Okay.
And not a lot of people are going to recognize this. You might.
Mm-hmm.
It's a movie called Loose Cannons. And it's actually with Gene Hackman.
Okay.
And Dan Aykroyd.
Okay. Yeah.
And Dom DeLuise is in that movie too.
Oh, that's funny. That's already funny.
Oh man, by the way, Dom DeLuise is the GOAT for me. He's the GOAT. He's my GOAT.
Well, he played in.
Who actually makes me laugh?
He played in what is it called? History of the World. He the gay.
Yeah. No, not the gay. He wasn't. He was Caesar.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he played Caesar, and he wasn't gay. He was just a little flamboyant, a little fruity, but not gay. That was the funniest thing I've ever. I don't know. I think that might be the funniest thing I've ever seen. I love him. I love him unabashedly.
Mm-hmm.
Dom DeLuise, my favorite, the GOAT. But and then Don Rickles, and then Patrice, and then Norm, and then Greg Giraldo's in there too.
Well, stop saying these people's names.
They're all gone. They're all gone. Yeah. So they're not gone. They're not making movies anymore.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But so there's this movie Loose Cannons, and so Gene Hackman he's a detective, and then he gets paired with Dan Aykroyd, who it turns out he was I don't know, he was like a DEA agent or something like that, and he got caught by some cartels who tortured him.
An unconventional cop who doesn't take any bullets paired up with an amazing detective to capture some powerful criminals, but the cop soon realizes that his by-the-book partner has split personality disorder.
Yeah, he went crazy after the torture.
Yeah.
So, and then when Gene Hackman, he had to stay overnight at his new partner's house for some reason. I don't remember. I think his girlfriend kicked him out. Mm-hmm. And when he came into the apartment, mm-hmm. he saw that everything was white.
Everything's what?
Like everything, the color of all the furniture and all the appliances mm-hmm. were like pure white. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And he explained that the reason for that is because that color doesn't set off any of his trigger. Understand?
Yeah.
Everything is really bland.
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah. Nothing. Right. So for to deal with his trauma, which was very extreme, right? Yeah. So he had to, so there are other measures that he took. Like for instance, he told Gene Hackman to lock his door, mm-hmm. lock the bedroom door because he might have an episode and he might try to get in, and might get a little crazy.
Yeah.
That's another, you take precautions. Okay?
Yeah.
So to a certain extent, the, Baal Teshuvas, they either treat themselves that way.
Yeah.
Or they are treated that way. It's not clear to me which one. To this day, it's not very difficult to determine if it was a Baal Teshuva
when you say treated that way, what do you...
Meaning, are they advised to treat their past as if they were tortured by drug cartels?
It could be. They're not advised. You understand that everything... You probably noticed this. Everything in these yeshivas is implied. There's nothing that's ever ordered or advised. It's all implied. Like, Shomer Negiah is implied. You're supposed to do Shomer Negiah because it's implied. No rabbi ever came up to me in yeshiva and told me that I can't touch a woman anymore. It's just an implied thing. It's understood that, like, after you get to a certain level and whatever it is, observance, Torah...
I think it might be because, I guess, you started to kind of learn about Torah and, get involved in that respect not too long ago, right? Yeah. I mean, it's been it's a very decent, respectable block of time, 10 years, decade.
Yeah.
But I think it's when you come into it at that stage, things look a little different. Like you have different experiences. Like you're already an adult, so when you're an adult, people aren't going to come up to you and treat you like a kid.
Yeah.
But if you start getting interested in Torah when you're a kid, you're also treated like one. Yeah. It's different.
Yeah.
So you are going to be told some stuff that it's not exactly the same experience that you may have had.
You're saying the reason they didn't tell me was outright was because I'm 31 years old?
Because you're 31 years old, you're already, you're not going to be scared. You're past the point of, you're past the scared straight stage of your life.
So then why did I do Shomer Negiah anyway?
No, because you did it because you decided that was the right thing to do because you had your contact with the Torah. Mm-hmm. You had an understanding of what you're dealing with here when studying it, and based on that, you were like, well, I mean, this is not a normal document.
Yeah,
I should probably look into what it says.
Yeah,
and the teachings that are not derived from it, that are a part of it. And Shomer Negiah is a part of that. So it's just kind of like a series of.
Is it really a part of that?
It is.
Or
it really
let me rephrase. Is it applicable to somebody who's 30, who was? I mean, at that point, I was 31. And is it applicable to somebody who's 40?
Yeah.
Really?
It is. It is applicable. The way to apply it, like how to go about applying it is, there's room for discussion there.
Yeah.
But it's not optional. You understand? It's not a suggestion. Is my point.
So how do you?
You gotta figure out how to make it happen, and that's not going to be the same for everybody.
Yes, because I was going to say, if you're single and 40, how the hell do you not lose your mind? Like you end up losing. You end up losing your mind.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Right. So there's really, it really is a very constricting situation to be in. I mean, it's bad. It's a bad situation to be in. There's no sugarcoating it, and there's no, you know, what's the word? Like, there's no apologetics either.
There's
like,
no solution. I mean, there's one solution.
No, there's only one solution. Yeah. Okay. So basically, what you have to do is, like, at the stage, like, you have to take all the steps you need to take, right, in order to. So let's say, the only thing that, like, I can only speak about myself, right? So when I'm that way, when I'm constantly involved in Torah learning, right? Like, I'm like immersed into it, like hardcore, right? Mm-hmm. I noticed that sustains me, right?
Yeah.
Like,
By the way, you're a little muffled, man. I think you took your hand off.
Hang on. Any better?
A little bit.
Okay, 1 second. I was just trying to charge my phone.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Now it's better.
That should be better, right?
That is better.
Right. So, for me personally, being immersed in Torah study, but specifically the subjects that interest me. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm learning, like, Mishnayos, or, certain, just like, I'm starting to drift away, and that's where I get into the danger zone. Yeah. When the mind is allowed to kind of, it's not really the mind is allowed to do what it wants. It's you're letting your mind be taken over by an external entity. Yeah. That's really what's happening. Correct. Right? So in order to contain your mind, or to keep your mind yours, you have to control access to yourself from that entity. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, obviously we're talking about the Yetzer Hara and all of its implications and manifestations. Yeah. So that's a big part of it. Like, fully immersed in the Torah, and especially in the Chachma. Mm-hmm. In the yeshivish world, they would say Chachmas HaEmes, Kabbalah. So that kind of thing. That is a huge part of it. Okay, and the second thing is you have to get married as soon as it is possible. God put you in that situation. He put you into it. You didn't do this to yourself. Yeah. Okay, it's all His fault.
I keep hearing that it's my fault. These shulchanim and rabbis will say it's my fault.
They are.
I'm what is it? Too picky. This, that.
No, they don't know. Look, these people don't know who they're dealing with. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I know.
And by the way, we don't have rabbis anymore.
I know.
Just on a side note. Mm-hmm. We have like 10.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we know 3 of them.
Yeah. Okay. It's funny.
Remember, a rabbi is someone who has common sense. He has an astute mind, discernment. Not just kind of like, like, what's the difference between an AI that has the entire Tanakh and all the Meforshim and all this forum, right? Mm-hmm. And that you can interact with, saying, here, what does this book say? What does that book say? Yeah. What's the difference between that and, the rabbis that we have today?
Yeah, like a super Sefaria. No, there is no difference.
Right. No, there is a difference. Well, Sefaria is much better. Okay? So what is the rabbi then? A rabbi is someone who has a connection. He has a...
You called it a mandate.
He has a mandate.
Speaking of mandates.
Let's not. Let's not. We can't. We gotta stay on point. I've been studying these conversations that we've been having, mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. And I seem to be trying to jam too much stuff into one conversation.
You mean you don't want to talk about Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis? When I was that broke, I couldn't picture this. You don't want to talk about?
No, we can talk about. I want to talk about that.
Okay.
But we kind of like have to stay on point for a couple of minutes at a time.
I mean, and then we can talk about the 10 crack commandments.
10 crack commandments?
The 10 crack commandments.
What is this?
Never get high on your own supply. It's the same guy that talked about Super Nintendo Sega Genesis.
Got it. That
was one of his songs.
I never got. That's esoteric Biggie. I never got that deep into it.
Yeah, that's one of his songs.
I just remember that song, which I forgot the name of the song. You know, Super Nintendo Sega Genesis.
Juicy or something like that.
No, it was like Star or something like that.
Something, yeah.
And then the other one was, I think it was called Triumph.
Could be.
I got to realize, you know, there's like this chorus and like this kind of like
the Super Nintendo sound. Thing is juicy.
It is juicy. All right.
Yeah. Anyway.
Shoot out for 20 minutes till we finish. I thought that was remember that was a line from that song Triumph, I think it's called. Anyway, so
you're a little muffled again, man. I don't know if it's
really.
I don't know if you're holding your hand next to the receiver.
I'm not. No, I'm totally not.
Okay, fine.
Okay, now I'm gonna just like talk directly into this, like it's a microphone.
Yeah,
how's that?
You should do that. Yep. Precisely.
Okay. So a rabbi has a mandate. Look, we shouldn't be surprised that there aren't that many rabbis. There never were. There's like 10 per generation, basically. Okay, and being a tremendous scholar doesn't make you a rabbi. You know what? You know. I'm sure you've heard this before, but in Hebrew, rabbi, right? Which it means, it's an acronym for Rosh B'nai Yisrael, head of the children of Israel. Okay, so that's a real rabbi. Okay, so and I don't think we need to beat it to death. You know, we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
So they can't even advise they can't advise their communities on how to avoid the major pitfalls.
Yeah.
And they are not rabbis.
I mean, they're if anything, they're like going with the gusto. You know, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, leading. You take your flock and turn them into lemmings. That's what they're doing. That's what we're doing.
Oops.
Okay, so we know that we're not dealing with rabbis. Yeah. That's not an artifact connected. That's not a characteristic that you would find connected to a rabbi. That wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay, that's more of a Shabtai Tzvi.
Dude, I think we're headed for a combination of Shabtai Tzvi and a few other events in Jewish history, all rolled into one. That's what I think we're headed for. And it's going to have nothing to do with any kind of Mashiach impersonators. You know what I mean?
No, there's no time. There's no more time for Mashiach impersonators. That's. Yeah. I was trying to find that source. No, I'm lying. I wasn't trying to find it. I was learning with the rabbi, and I was going to ask him where is that Rashi that talks about Mashiach making an appearance, declaring his arrival.
Yeah.
Saying the words, "The time of your redemption has arrived," and then there are alternate possibilities of what can happen. He can disappear for 3 days, 3 weeks / months. I'm not sure which one that is, if it's weeks or months, and then up to 30 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that, but these are like the guidelines, the framework within that Mashiach can operate within.
Yeah.
That's a tradition that we got. So I think you were almost gonna ask the question of like, is Shomer Negia part of Torah? Is that right?
I wasn't asking if Shomer Negia part of Torah. I was trying to ask, if a person becomes Baal Tshuva at 31, and then through some series of unfortunate events finds himself, let's say, single at 33, then are there workarounds? Let's put it that way.
I think that
you know what I'm saying?
I think that your primary guide should be Hashem.
Yeah.
Let me explain what I mean. So I'm sure you've heard people give lip service to this idea. God understands where you're holding, and He'll judge you based on where you're coming from and what you're actually dealing with. You understand?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard, people give lip service to that idea, but you should take it seriously because it's real.
Yeah.
So if you're realistic with what God expects from you, that will give you a more accurate path.
Yeah.
As to what to feel like shit about.
Yeah.
You understand? So if you're honest with God every step of the way.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So that changes things a little bit. When Baal Tshuva this term Baal Tshuva is not even fair. Like Jewish guys who are trying to learn more about Torah and trying to act more Torah-like, more God-like, gradually.
Yeah.
Okay. So as long as we are pressured to put on a show, put on a costume. You understand? So that's a pathway that people take. That's a technique. That's a school of thought. That's, I don't know what you call it. That's a way to go for some people. Okay, it can be effective. It can be effective for some people, but you got to be disconnected from where you came from, and you got to be fully immersed in the new environment.
Yeah.
And you can't go back. You can't.
Yeah.
Okay? You could take maybe a guy who grew up in Crown Heights, right? Spent his whole life in the base medrash.
Yeah.
Okay? And then send them away to, Rancho Cucamonga or Vegas.
Yeah.
Or, Palm Springs or, Springfield, this and that.
Yeah.
Because that guy is not rooted, at least, just from a, I don't want to use the term rooted, but it's not coming from that. He's not coming from Palm Springs.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So that's why he comes with basically, everybody is vulnerable. I'm not saying that this guy is, that there's no kryptonite against a shliach. But there's a lot of armor, way more armor, and it's not forced armor. It's just these guys can't relate to what they're seeing. Yeah. It's not familiar to them. It's not emotional. They're not emotionally attached to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like home. There's no memories or connections or whatever. Okay? Yeah. So a guy who wants to dedicate his life to Torah and mitzvot, one way to do it is to completely, immerse yourself in this completely new world, and just kind of, stay in it until it takes. You know what I mean? Like you spend 3, 4, 5 years in Williamsburg, in Crown Heights, and Lakewood, whatever it is, right? And now you have 5 years of connection that you put the time in and you develop that. Now you have something that you can anchor yourself there that doesn't feel fake. You spent 5 years around these people.
Yeah.
That's one way to do it. Okay? But that person makes a decision. It is actually a lot like being a convert. There's similarities because you know what a convert is. It's hard to be a convert, or for actual converts, because it's a very extreme thing to do, because your mom is not your mom anymore, and your dad's not your dad, and your wife isn't your wife, and your children aren't your children anymore. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And there's you don't inheritance laws and all this kind of stuff. Like, it changes everything. You are literally reborn a new person.
Yeah.
Literally. Very extreme transformation. So a Baal Tshuva, a Jewish guy coming from a non-Jewish type culture, back into, quote unquote, or into the Haredi world, right? So basically he has to disconnect from his previous life, okay, in order to be comfortable, in order to have a life that's not filled with constant misery and conflict. Mm-hmm. Okay, so who are we talking about here? We're talking about a person who is devoted to themselves, their own personal avoda to Hashem, right? They're working on themselves, and they don't have any ill will towards people where they come from, but they can't help them. They have to, when you come in from there, it's a lot of work to disconnect and to become someone else entirely. Yeah. In some ways, it's much easier. It's like ripping off a Band-Aid. All right, now I'm just someone else now. That's it. I've disconnected. I'm not that person anymore. I look different. I act different. I feel different. And I don't want to go back to the place that made me feel the way that I don't want to feel anymore. A lot of people do that. I think we both know people like that. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. Some other people, we can call them idiots, right? Like me, probably you, have decided that no, you know what? We're not just going to lift ourselves up. We're going to lift everybody else along with us.
Oh yeah. I think part of it is that so we don't feel misunderstood or left out.
Repeat what you said.
I said part of it is so that we don't feel misunderstood or left out by the people that are around us.
I don't know. You think that's what it is?
Another part, well, that's for me at least, and then another part of it is just you see potential in people, and you're just like, wow, like, why don't I share that gift that I was given by someone?
Yeah, the glasses from They Live, right? You're just trying to you're fighting with these.
Yeah.
With these people, just put the glasses on for a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, everybody in our life is Keith David.
Yes.
if only they were actually as cool as that guy.
Yeah.
Things would be easier, right? It'd be worth the fight,
That's right. Yeah, it would be worth the fight. It would be worth the fight.
What about the actual Keith David? Maybe we should get him. He should be a guest. I think he would get this.
Yeah, he would.
Based on the roles that I've seen him in, he seems like.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
yeah. Listen, I mean,
is it Keith David or Keith Davis?
David. It is David. Keith David. Yeah, man. I a little bit tried to do that, and then I realized Then I realized that I am the only one crazy enough to change my life at the age of 30.
You're not crazy. You'd be crazy not to. Do you understand?
I would be crazy not to, but I'm saying, I'm the only one that is... listen, I met a lot of people who, were in the same position as I was in terms of they sat in a classroom or in classrooms and learned the same things that I learned. And they decided not to change anything. Or not as... I don't want to use the word drastic, but not as full throttle as I did. Or not at all.
Well, hold on a second.
And it actually made me wonder, how could they not, knowing what they knew, them knowing what they know,
that's where you're wrong. That's what I think. Okay. I think you might have gone off a little bit right there.
Okay. If
you're sitting in the classroom with someone and you guys are hearing the same sounds, it does not mean that you are learning the same things.
That is true. I agree with you. What I'm saying is, in observing them, not only observing them in the classroom, but also observing them, participating in certain activities or whatever it is, I got it into my head that these people have also bought into what I bought into. And then,
okay.
And then it's and then you realize that they can't, they can't not hold their own, but they can't hang. I was one of the few people who was able to hang because I wanted to. They can't cut it.
Well, hang on. Another thing to take into consideration is every klippa is unique. It has a a unique topology.
Mm-hmm.
Like it has like unique features, nooks and crannies. Nobody's clipper is the same. There's like some areas that are much thicker and coarser. Some areas a little bit softer, right?
As a friend of mine once put it, you know, I remember, like, this is getting a little personal, but whatever. Let's just say there was somebody I was close to where I didn't understand why this person, you know, if I'm with this person, if I'm dating them, I didn't understand why. How could it be that this person was very obsessed with Gashmias, and not obsessed, but like kind of like always worried about it, and then have the emuna to understand that everything will be okay. And
I can answer this.
Huh?
I can actually answer this.
No. And I was speaking to a friend of mine, and my friend of mine goes to me, "You need to understand. Everybody has their taivas." And I said, "I get that. Everybody has their own, you know, the things that they're pulled towards." And I said, "I totally get that, but that doesn't mean that I should marry that kind of person then. You know, why should I accept that this person has these taivas? It's a turnoff for me that this person has these taivas. And frankly, I didn't even know that they had them. And had I known that they had them, I never would have gotten involved."
Well,
and supposedly the person has emuna, but no.
Well, hang on a second. Hang on. Yeah. There's taivas that you have, okay?
Yeah.
That everybody has surprise taivas. You're not going to escape that.
Everybody has what?
Surprise taivas.
Oh yeah, of course. But this is
weird stuff.
Yeah.
That's weird to you.
Yeah.
And your stuff is going to be weird to someone else. And there's no way around that. You're not going to be able to avoid that.
That's
understand?
True.
You're just like, you're going to go from one uncomfortable, like, little medley of crazy.
Yeah.
And replace it with just another different type of, you know, that's, you know, like guys who they fall in love with women.
Yeah.
You know, it's very, very, you know, exciting. They get married, and then it's not interesting anymore. They find all the flaws, and then they want to move on to their secretary, or you know, I'm just painting with a broad brush, you know, being hyperbolic. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Those guys are idiots. They don't understand that they're just moving on to a new level of unfamiliar crazy that they just haven't encountered yet. The wife that they have, at least they know that crazy. You're saying you're not going to escape crazy because you have to remember what you're doing in this world. We're mending the crazy. Our own, our friends, our families, our spouses. You know, we're all supposed to be trying to kind of like help each other in some way without being too intrusive. But okay, so you're in a world where you can't expect any kind of comfort or ideal. You understand? This idea, I'm not going to call it an entitlement, but for some people it seems like it's almost like an entitlement. Like, no, but, you know, my person should be this and that, and should, like, really? Your person's going to be whoever God pairs you with, because there's work to be done. That's really what it's about. Now, if we look at this from a completely different, like totally, like upside down, well, it seems upside down. So here's what I mean. Let's clear the plate and let's erase 3,333 years of history. A little less. 3,338, 3,333 years plus 40. Okay?
Yeah.
What happened? We enter the land of Israel, and we begin conquering the territory, right? And then there are periods of time, well, at least their initial period of time, where we can finally settle in the land and begin following the laws, the commandments of God. That's the point. The point of settling in the land of Israel is not to finally, now I can retire, now I can relax, pick my feet up and, turn the TV on and then, start going to bars and to the movies and to nightclubs. But that's not what, that's not what it's about at all. So what are you supposed to do? Let's think about it from God's perspective. People forget about God, like me. I do that too. But, I should talk about myself mostly. So this whole thing it's hard to remember that, but it really is just all about God, and not really about us at all.
Yeah.
Because if you were to ask your soul, right, like when you were just a soul, you want to go down to that world? No. What do you mean?
Nope.
You don't want to go? No. I don't want anything to do with that. What are you talking about?
I don't want to pay car insurance.
Right. Yeah. What do you mean? You're doing this for me? I don't want to. No, thank you. Please don't. It's fine. It reminds me of Louis C.K. Where he was talking about how like there was a Christian telling him how Jesus died for your sins, right? And then Louis C.K. is like, oh no, I mean he shouldn't have done that. I mean I appreciate it, but I wish he would have asked me first. I would have told him don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Right. So that's kind of So the soul doesn't want to. It didn't want to come here.
Yeah.
I mean, once it's here, it's very difficult to disconnect for various reasons. But it certainly didn't want to come here in the first place. This is a horrible place.
Yeah.
It's not a tempting prospect to come down here and to be involved in this stuff.
Yeah.
So God didn't do us a favor. We're here doing something for Him.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we could just focus on that, remember that things really start to feel different. For real. Like this isn't just lip service. Like I have successfully applied this for important moments here and there, like in the course of my life, especially when I was working on construction sites.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, that was the only way I got through it.
Interesting.
Because I was having a lot of difficulty because I couldn't see. Okay, and that's not a place that you want to be vision impaired.
Yeah, I was gonna say. and the
like
people
the
in charge, and the people in charge working on the thing that didn't really care, right? That was
first of all, I was having a couple of issues. I had a hernia, very painful, back issues, and I couldn't see. Plus, I didn't know what I was doing. Like, we were supposed to be learning. This was an apprenticeship.
Mm-hmm.
Supposed to be learning. I didn't know how to do anything. You understand? I couldn't even do the job that a donkey does. You could have replaced me with a donkey. Would have done a better job than me. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I stole that from Adam Carolla. By the way.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that before.
Yeah. So, and it was difficult because not only is it personally dangerous, but you also have to do work. You have to produce. The level of stress those couple of years is very difficult to relate.
This is here or in Israel or both?
No. This was probably a year before we moved to Louisiana, about a year and a half. And then also in Louisiana, like that, I was doing my second year of this electrical apprenticeship that I was trying to do in Louisiana. And the only reason I didn't complete it was because of COVID. And also I had a hernia surgery, which kind of put me down. And then COVID came along, like literally right at the same time.
Yeah.
And then things, the rest is history basically. But during those periods, I nearly died many times. Like you fall into a pit because you have to show up at the construction site really early, and it's still dark. Like it's night. Like 5:30, 5:45, 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's pitch black.
Yeah.
And this is a construction site, and there's pits, and there's rebar sticking out of the pits.
Oh my god!
And they're supposed to put these like bright orange caps on them, so that but that's you can't really count on that. Yeah. So so I fell to these pits, and I could have been finished like each time, and so many other things.
It's like Yosef or Avram Avinu.
Well, yeah, I mean, in some minor ways, you can't compare me to them.
Yeah, but I'm saying like the snakes and scorpions thing.
These little like sparks, these little fractals of their situations. Yeah, I mean, they, they had it pretty rough. I'm not comparing myself to that.
Yeah.
But so my point is like, I'm not trying to get pity. I'm just saying that it helped that state of mind of like, I'm here to do something for God. This isn't for me. It's not at all for me. It's only for Him. Otherwise, I'm not interested in it. This is not after after about the age of 11 or 12, I realized this world is not that much fun and not that interesting.
I know.
I'm not that into pursuing the things that I thought were exciting and something cool to pursue. Because once your grandparents die,
yeah,
and then your cat dies, and then you see, you see like legit suffering. Like you see that, I was like, holy shit! That I don't care about marine biology.
Yeah,
I didn't know about the dog who gets his face bit off. Like, well, I don't care about marine biology anymore. I don't care about archaeology. Fuck this whole place.
Yeah.
Right? And fuck this whole world and the horse it rode in on. Seriously, I couldn't give a damn about it at all.
I have a friend who says "F the whole effing world." He's a religious guy.
Yeah, religious people have feelings too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I don't care about being a corporate lawyer anymore. It's like it lost its shininess.
Yeah.
Okay. The movie Trances. The bubble is burst. So what am I? So once you realize that, I realized that at like 11 or 12 because my grandparents raised me, both sets. They lived in my building.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my mother's father had passed away when I was 1.
Yeah.
But his wife, my grandma, she basically raised me along with my father's father,
yeah,
who also lived in the building, and they took care of me until I was like 10 and 11, right? And then by the time I was 12, they're all gone. My parents were kind of like at that time just some kind of like older sibling that I don't see too often. They're always working. They're going to ristorante.
I was what's funny like. It's funny, like, I always, like, I felt like I was the only kid who, because the thing is, I didn't really have, the only grandparents I had were my grandmothers, and both of them, were not so active with me. You know what I mean? My grandfather, my father's father passed away before I was born. I'm named after him. My mother's father passed away, like, we left Ukraine, and then the last time I saw him when I was 6 years old. And then I found out that he passed away like in the middle of the flipping night in Brooklyn. My mother gets a phone call. It's like 3 a.m. and I'm 8 years old, And this is a person that I love dearly. And that's how I found out. You know what I mean? 3 o'clock in the morning, and then that's it. Thank you very much. So no grandfathers and grandma. So basically, my parents were the ones involved with me, and I actually would look at other kids, the Russian kids out. And I would see like the babushka, they're always going upstate with the babushka.
Yeah, right.
And I'm thinking to myself, I see it today still. The babushka is like, and I'm like, where are the parents?
Do you notice?
Where are they?
No, but I'd like to make a correlation.
They can't be working all the damn time. What are they, hookers?
Can I make a correlation?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's certainly a correlation between kids who are brought up by their grandmas and being fat.
That I see that. Yeah. They're like little, and then they make them fat, and then later on they complain. It's like Baba Fira, Mo Yosef Tolstoy. Like doesn't do anything. It's like, well, you fed them pilmeni all the time. In pirashki and pierogies all this time for like 13, 14 years. What the hell do you want? You turn them into a freaking ponchik. That's
a funny subject, but we're veering off a little.
Yes. What I'm saying. No, so I always wonder, like, was I the only person who was just raised by my parents, by younger people?
The only person. I've seen people raised by their parents and like fathers who are very involved.
Yeah.
Like, and they're and I think that. I mean, not everybody has that. Like, different people have different setups. You know what I mean? But the point is that, like, for me personally, it's different for everybody. Like, whatever my setup was, it was gone very suddenly.
Yeah, no, I hear.
All of them. So things change very, very drastically. So just getting back to the construction sites for a second, just I can only relate to that because that's what I've experienced. Mm-hmm. So you're digging ditches, you're being really dirty, There's no place to go to the bathroom. You know what I mean? Like you got to go to these. It's really just a savage construction work is treated like shit, and there's really no reason for it. It's a cultural thing. It's unnecessary. Yeah. It's a side point, but I'm not going to start any unions. But I'm just saying, So, so it helped me to realize that I'm not here for myself. This is not. This God needs me to be here. I'm doing something. He set me here for a reason. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to get up here. I'm going to go up, and I'm going to get up every morning and go to this place, and I'm going to try to find what I'm supposed to be doing here. And I found it. A lot of times I did. Yeah. Okay. I ended up speaking Torah nonstop with the guys that I was working with. Wow. Not Jewish guys. Doesn't matter. Yeah. There's sparks. God sent me there for a reason. There's obviously sparks that needed to be elevated.
Of course. Yeah, you mentioned that.
And those conversations I had with those people were meaningful and they were important to God. They were important to me too. Yeah. I miss those guys actually. So, and one of the guys, like this is one of the guys from Louisiana. Mm-hmm. We were talking about, he's a Christian dude, and we were talking about it all the time. And I ended up teaching him Aleph base Hebrew. Wow. He began reading. I don't know what he did. I haven't spoken to him since that time, but obviously that's why I was there. I mean, there's probably a billion reasons why I was there, most of which I'm not privy to, but some of it I am, and those are obviously the biggies. Yeah. So that changes everything. That perspective, like, what am I doing here? God sent me here. Like, all right, God, what do you want me? What do you want from me today? What are you sending me? What am I supposed to do today? And if you're in that mindset constantly, that's the only real way to get through this life successfully, in a psychologically unmiserable way.
It's like Rabbi David Aaron says. He likes to say, "Don't ask why something happened. Ask something like what? How did he phrase it? What for? Something like that.
What can you do to make it better? Yeah.
Well, like no. His point was like, what is the purpose of it? What was the purpose of it? Not why, like, why something happened to you, but what was the purpose of it?
So when the Jews finally got into Israel, mm-hmm. So what was the day-to-day, moment-to-moment experience supposed to be like there? It was supposed to be us hanging out with God at every moment. That was much easier for them because they were living in the desert. They weren't even really in the desert. They were living in like a parallel dimension, mm-hmm. where everything was, it was kind of like heaven. There was a lot of overlap with heaven. They were having all sorts of miraculous revelations. Mm-hmm. They were eating manna in English. Yeah. Their clothes never got dirty. They never had to use the restroom. Everything was pure holiness. That's what they were learning Torah and just doing mitzvot, whatever were available to them, right? Yeah. So, but there were a lot of mitzvot that had to do with the land itself, living in the land, farming, and everything associated with that, and then building the sanctuary and all that kind of stuff. So the thing, the experience was supposed to be somewhat similar to what the experience for Adam was when he woke up. He's like, just you're hanging out with God. Like, he brought us here to hang out with him. He didn't bring us here to kind of just go off and do our own thing and find our own way. That's not what this is about. This is his world, his project, and we're supposed to spend our time with him. So basically, here's the metaphor. Okay, I worked on this one for a while. Yeah, you're gonna appreciate this. Mm-hmm. All right. So imagine God is like, yo, I built this amazing place that I gotta show you guys. It's awesome. It's called a club.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. You go in there. All right, and just like go in there. It's awesome. We're gonna be hanging out in there, and I set up a lot of incredible experiences for you to enjoy. We're gonna be hanging out together. We're all gonna be doing it together. And we're like, yeah, sure. So we go in there, right? We go around and take a look, and but it's not finished. Like we have to like we have to help him finish off building the club, right? So by the time we're finished, we got the disco ball, we got the Phazon, we got the light show, we got the bubbles, we got the projector on the walls, and the bird cages for the dancing girls. Right? We got the DJ deck. Couple of DJ decks. You got the bar and all that kind of stuff, right? And it looks awesome. We cannot wait to get this place going. We got the light up dance floor, for the Bee Gees, and the whole shebang, right? And then but we don't know how to use any of this stuff. Like we basically were born into most of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we see this stuff. We don't really know what it is. It looks cool. It looks shiny, right?
Yeah.
And then for some reason, before we even like know what the stuff is or how to use it, right? We're like, you know what, God? Do you mind if we hang out in here on our own for a little while? And God's like, but what? Wait a minute. Like I thought we were gonna hang out together. Like I was building this place. I thought I could maybe hang out with you guys too in this place. And I know, but maybe later. Like, can we just a little bit? Can we just like chill with this? Like just go outside. Can we just like wait outside for a while? And he's like, I guess okay. And then he's like, but as he's walking outside the club, and he's like, but hold on, you guys don't know how to use any of this stuff. You don't really know. It's we'll figure it out. And we close the door before he even gets a chance to finish talking. Okay? And now we're in the club, and it looks cool, looks shiny, and we see like oh, look at this stuff, like we see it turntables, right? The techniques, the Geminis, right? And well, you don't know what it is. Right? You start like you press the button and you see it starts saying like, ooh, look at that. And you think that's the point, just to watch it turn for some reason, right? Like you don't understand that you got to put on the record, and then there's sounds that come out of that, and that's a whole other experience that needs to be explained. Nobody do you understand? We don't know what any of this is for. We're in this world, and we're a bunch of monkeys banging on a box, like that from Zoolander. Yeah. Right?
The files are in the computer. Well, they're doing a parody of 2001 Space Odyssey, actually, but yeah.
Well, the point is that we don't know what. That's exactly right. Like God put a monolith. Yeah. This whole world is a monolith that we don't know what it is.
Yeah, we're jumping around like
it's shiny and it looks cool, but we don't really know what it is and what it's about.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And no one's really interested. Like we made up our own stuff.
Yeah.
It's like imagine like you build a club, right, with the most sophisticated sounds, and then all of a sudden, like you let a bunch of people who don't know anything about it, right, and then just like you let them in there. You come back a month later, you see like the wires that were used to connect the sound system to the light show. They started making little ribbons out of it and like jewelry and stuff like that. Like, well, what are you doing? You ruined the whole thing. What do you mean? This is our jewelry. Like, oh my God, you idiots! What? You don't know? You don't know what you're doing. Put that down. That's what this whole world is to us. Okay, and and we're still like, God, would you mind? It's not you, it's me. And God's like, but hold on, let me tell you what that. Can you fine? You don't want me around? Can you at least let me explain to you what that is used for? I'll figure it out. All right, you idiot.
Yeah.
So what we're supposed to do, if we imagine ourselves as Israelites waking up the first day of liberated Israel, right? We're just out of the desert, out of our 40 years in the desert, before that in Egypt. And so what are we supposed to do? we're supposed to wake up in the morning and say, all right, God, you put this soul back inside this body, and there's obviously something that you want me to do. Why don't you give me a hint as to what I'm supposed to be doing? And we'll go ahead and do it. And that's how, and that's every step you take is with that in mind. So you're saying, like, you are here to hang out with God. He's not, you can't kick him, you can't put him outside. He can't be online with the rest of the, with the girls who are waiting online in the middle of winter, not wearing any clothes,
so
freezing.
Here's my question: how could it be then if? How should I phrase this? Without offending anybody, not that I care, but
Fuck them.
how could it be then that these very special neshamas? I mean, I guess I have the answer, but I want to hear what you have to say. It's like the thing I noticed when I got into the frum world is that every single girl, almost every single girl who grew up FFB, not every single girl, but almost every single girl, is either an OT or a PT. And it almost seems to me that, like, I always thought to myself,
you mean occupational therapist or
yeah, physical therapist, occupational therapist? Is this what Hashem put them on this earth to do that and to pop out kids? That's it? That's all they're here to do, these girls.
Dude, did God put me on this earth to dig ditches for 2 years?
No, but you've had, it's like I sometimes I'll tell you, I talk to my friend who grew up in Flatbush, and I tell him all the stories of every stuff that I've, places I've been and jobs that I've had and whatever it is. And he goes to me, man, you've lived an interesting life. And I think I would say the same for you, man. You did that for 2 years. You didn't do that your whole life.
Yeah, but people from the outside, it looks like an interesting life, but most of it was miserable.
Even it doesn't matter if it's miserable. It matters if it's interesting and meaningful. It was based on what you just told me.
It wasn't meaningful.
It was very, not the work, but what you were doing over there was very meaningful. So now,
no. Look, what I'm trying to say was, like, I lived in Antigua. I went to Israel for a year. I traveled. I did this and whatever.
Yeah.
I don't. That stuff is empty. All I remember, and the only thing that I actually retain that I feel good about, that I feel like wasn't a waste, were those conversations that I had.
I hear.
I don't want to say connections,
but that's what you were meant to be doing over there. That was just, the other stuff was just whatever. It was like,
so basically, that's, like, these kind of conversations, like, that's what it's about.
Of course.
You understand? Like, so that's part of what God wants me to do. So, I wish it was a little bit, it feels like it's a little rocky. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know where I'm going to be tomorrow.
Can I tell you something? We're sitting here talking, and my friend, the one I told you, the one who lives in Florida, in a different part of Florida than you, she just messaged me. She, like, randomly messages me. She just, like, messaged me like 8 minutes ago. She goes, things are going to get very bad here, and Americans are unprepared. That's what she wrote to me. And I said, I agree. So you're saying to me things are rocky. You don't know, dude. You know how many people, like, everybody from, like, dude, like, I was just at this meal today, and there was people talking about selling their house, right? And I want to say, cry me a river, because these people are selling their house for a certain amount, which I'm not going to mention, obviously, but it's way more than anything that I own. Let's put it that way. And I go, and the people selling the house are kind of like, they're not really worried about what's going to be with the real estate market, right? They're holding out for, a better deal. And I said to them a story that I heard from a contractor friend, who said that about in this January, there's going to be basically 10% of all households are going to have, like, foreclosure issues. So now I'm, trying to warn people. I'm trying to tell people, but like it seems like people, everybody's going through some crap. The same thing, the same rocky. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
I think it's rocky for everybody.
I know that.
Like even for Elon Musk and Bezos, it's rocky. I think. In their own weird way.
I hope something's rocky for them. Those guys are assholes.
Yeah, but that's already
But that's not the point of talking about the rockiness. Was not. Yeah. I wasn't looking for pity.
I know you weren't.
Else.
I know you weren't. I'm just saying
there was some other point being formed there.
You were saying that that Hashem wants you to do something, but you don't know what.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It seems it's probably just like it just seems that way to me. But it seems like some people have it like at least more stable.
Yeah.
But that's not even true either. So whatever it is, you know what I mean? The point is that as long as you kind of like wake up in the morning, you're like, all right, what does he want me to do today? What am I supposed to be doing for his purposes? Because this is his project, and I don't really need this place. He's not doing me any favors by me being here. I wouldn't want to be here. He knows I don't want to be here, right? And so that's my point. The point is like that would be, and Manus Friedman says that stuff too. It's like if a person just all they cared about, all that really mattered or value to them was what does God want me to do today? Here I am. He put me in this place. So I'm supposed to look around and see who needs my help, who needs me. Yeah. If that was the only concern that people had, you wouldn't have like 99% of the psychological disorders and the misery that people experience just on a day-to-day life. I'm not saying horrible things won't happen, like violent accidents and disease. I'm not saying that, but at least the misery, the stuff that we do to ourselves, like the misery that we bring to ourselves with like regret and not like, oh, I'm not measuring up, like I'm not intelligent and athletic. Mm. You know what I mean? I'm not this and that. I'm not diversified in the market, right? All of these things that people do to themselves, right? Yeah. That they're not measuring up. Like you said, keeping up with the Joneses, right? Yeah. That's not what it's about at all. Yeah. Fuck the Joneses. Yeah. Right? So the point is like, no, you know what I mean? Like maybe help them. That's what I mean, really. Yeah. They might need some help too. Yeah. So that's how to be. I'm not going to say happy, but maybe there's moments of non-misery with that mindset. Yeah. You know what I mean? But at the same time, so that's the ideal. That's what you're supposed to do.
Can I read something to you really quickly that a friend of mine wrote?
No.
This guy actually.
I'm going to finish my point. Okay. And like Bill Burr says, I want to say everything that I want to say before you get a chance to talk. That's all this is about. That he delivers it better than me, obviously. People usually laugh after he says it, but it's fine. So no, but I'm like, I need like another 10 seconds to finish this.
Yeah, no problem.
So the Israelites, they would wake up in the morning, Moda'ani, Lefanecha. Okay, you brought me back. I'm here we're gonna hang out, and it's all about you, God. And that's how we're supposed to live day to day. That's the system that God put into place. So we have to choose that, to do that willingly for this to work. That's the whole point of everything. And then eventually that will lead us to the point where Adam was before the tree thing. before the situation with the tree. Okay? Once we get back to square one, which is the tree, before the tree incident, the Garden of Eden, whatever that is, then God can take us from there to Shabbos world. And then finally we get to see the nightclub in action. You know, everything's working. We understand what everything's for. The wires were confiscated. They were reconnected to the sound system. No one's wearing them for jewelry. Everything's working the way it's supposed to. And we get to see that for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah. I'm going to read you something that was written today by my friend who... He spent a little bit of time at Aish, at Torah. Oh, hello, our friend Paul. The one that was on the show.
Paul Carpenter, sure.
Yeah, so this is what he wrote today. I see a world of people... Just to give you some background, he recently broke up with somebody, whatever. I see a world of people who manipulate others. They lie to themselves and others to get what they want. They, quote-unquote, fake it till you make it. It's ridiculous. Maybe it's just me. I'm angry and sad, and I'm lashing out like a child, blaming the world. Seeing only the problems in the world because I feel alone, and even though I have tons of support from acquaintances in this life. I don't have any true friends, but then again, that's my fault. That's again my fault. I have no responsibilities per se, and holding on to them to anything sorry, this punctuation is a little off. To anything in this world makes it a connection we are not supposed to have. From all that I have learned, we are to connect to nothing and be in gratitude for everything. Or I guess it'd be attached to nothing. But even after all my quote-unquote travels, my inner turmoil is still filled with sadness and anger. I'm lost to this world. I don't know if it's like lost to. Want nothing but the betterment of all. But at the same time, I feel on some level I will never truly receive anything of what I was going for. In the end, they are all pipe dreams anyway. They are all pipe dreams anyways. My only matter to this world is that some I have met, some that I have awoken to something even greater than what I might have seen, and that to me is priceless. Everything else is truly meaningless.
So what's the ichor here? Boil it down for me.
He's basically saying that like all the stuff that it's like he's upset that he didn't accomplish X, Y, and Z, but at the same time he realizes that it's essentially doesn't mean a heck of a lot of anything. So, and the only thing that's worthwhile is, you know, the what he made people see, or the things that he's illuminated for people.
Which is, I mean, that's what is missing from this letter, right?
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about the nihilists.
Yeah.
And from the Big Lebowski, remember? Yeah. So, but you know, Nietzsche, people who are Nietzscheans, right?
Yeah.
They're notorious for suicide.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they figure that literally when you study things from their perspective, right?
Yeah.
There's that we are so pointless.
Yeah.
This is them speaking, not me. We are so pointless, and that we will be gone forever. Yeah. And there's infinity, and it just so doesn't matter. It matters so little that a lot of them are like, you know, when they think about this kind of stuff, they're like, yeah, man, what am I getting so crazy and hung up about this life? And, you know, it's mostly painful. I don't have too much, especially people who don't have that much to look forward to, you know, in the conventional sense, right? Yeah. Like, I don't have a six-pack. I'm not going to get the pretty girl, you know, whatever things that we could find to enjoy, like, on an instinctual level are not available, right?
Yeah.
What's the point? So they kill themselves. Okay. So, Hannes Friedman said something a while ago. He's like, you know, they're half right.
Yeah.
All the things that they're thinking about, they're right. They don't matter. Those particular things don't matter.
Yeah.
Okay? But they're missing the part that makes. They're missing the part that is important. That makes it meaningful that we're here, and that's God.
Yeah.
Right. That's the part that they're missing. So those people kill themselves because they don't have that. They don't have the full picture. They only have half of it.
Yeah.
And then you get nihilists.
Yeah.
Wearing Devo hats.
Yeah, going.
And
I blank you, Lebowski. I blank you.
Were they wearing were they wearing Devo hats or bike helmets? I can't remember.
Devo hats.
remember Devo?
Oh, like, the guy from Friday. Yeah.
Whip it good. No, Devo.
Ah, Devo with a V.
Yeah,
I thought it was Devo, like the.
No, Devo. Remember, like Whip It Good? They were wearing those like weird, like pyramid hats.
That's very funny.
Like, am I mixing memories? I'm probably mixing memories.
No.
That seems like something a nihilist would wear.
Yeah, that's like one of them was wearing that. Yeah, it's absolutely true.
Yes,
that's absolutely awesome. Right. That's absolutely right.
Oh man, Devo! I'd love to get a Devo hat just to have that. That would be just like you know what I want.
I saw guys dressed for Halloween the last time I celebrated Halloween, 2009. I saw guys wearing Devo hats and stuff.
And they knew what it was.
Yeah, of course. No, they were wearing the whole outfit, the whole black and whatever.
Oh, the whole thing, man. Devo, nice. Yeah. So, I want a Devo hat, and I want a Swatch watch.
Oh, it's funny. I remember like there was a kid in my class in high school, freshman year, I think it was. No, junior high school. I apologize. He was obsessed with swatches. And he
Are you kidding me?
Huh?
Are you kidding me? They're off the hook.
No, but he was like he had like a whole collection, and every day there was a different kind of swatch that he was wearing. And I was like, how does he even afford this? Okay,
so that's a little bit like he's having like a Malibu Stacy situation.
Exactly, and that's why I was like, and that at that point I was like, can I not be in New Jersey anymore? This place is gay. Can I go back to Brooklyn? I'd rather be with Tyrone. And you know, I'll tell you something. I'll tell you a quick story.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we moved to Jersey, so this was September. Okay, we moved to Jersey in October 1992. Which means that I went to a junior high school in Brooklyn for about a month. Junior high school 303. Do you know junior high school 303?
I don't, but I love that number.
Junior high school 303 is the feeder school for Lincoln High School.
Okay.
So now you understand. Okay. You understand what's going on.
Was that Reynolds?
No. Junior high school 303 is George C. Tillieu. It's behind Lincoln. Close to the belt, right by the belt, also.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so 75% of the school is African. Darkness is spreading. Not that I have anything against people. I'm just giving you the picture, right?
Yeah, I actually saw Stephon Marbury and some of his brothers.
Yeah, and his cousin Sebastian, what's his face, Telfair. So I'm in. Okay, so this is like the first day of school, and his gym class. So, okay, so the way that it worked was, we were given a basketball, and there's just a bunch of us. Oh, I think the teacher didn't come in. So there's like a sub. So he's just like, okay, here's a basketball and just go. So there's a bunch of us just playing, like, I don't know what we were playing. I think horse or something. There was a game called Utah, And
yeah,
remember Utah, right? So we're playing Utah. And so there's like, I don't know, 10 of us, 15 of us. Me and a bunch of African American kids. And so a shot goes up. The ball hits the rim, and so I basically sky over all of them because I could jump. I can jump. You know what I'm saying? I have hops for a white guy.
White man can jump.
That's right. I sky over all of them with my long arms, and I do this like typical. I don't know if you remember like Sean Kemp. I did like a Sean Kemp rebound.
I think so.
Like the guy, they used to call him Rain Man. You know, like not Rain, but like Reighn. He used to just like, you know, Gary Payton used to just throw him like lobs, and he should just go up to whatever. So I get the rebound, I land, and this guy who was actually in my elementary school class, black kid, he goes, "Oh snap, white boy can jump." So that was a signal. So that was a signal to me that I would have protexia for as long as I lived in Brooklyn.
Yeah, that reminds me of that crazy white boy that Dave Chappelle was warning people about.
Yeah,
they're like, if you see a white guy hanging out with some black dudes, watch out for that guy's. Watch out for that guy.
So I wasn't like
you have no idea what that guy had to do to get them black guys respect.
Yeah, meaning I didn't. Well, yeah. I wasn't on that level, but what I'm saying is I had automatic street cred on that one moment, and obviously word travels among these folk, and you know you have different high schools that talk to each other. You know, these are like filiale. You know, in Russian we say filial.
Yeah.
You know, like the you know the Lincoln office, the FDR office, the Murrah office, the Madison office, all that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty sure all the offices of, you know what LLC would have gotten word, you know, that there's a white boy can jump. So this kid should not get his underwear pulled over his head and his money taken. And I'm not talking about just like lunch money, just like he shouldn't get snuffed.
Shouldn't get snuffed. He shouldn't get jacked up for his sneakers.
Yeah, he shouldn't have his pumps taken away. He has.
You ever heard that? You heard that Onyx got jacked up? There was a rumor that was like the biggest thing where Onyx got jacked up for their sneakers somewhere in Sunset Park or some.
Yeah.
You know, freaking some Kew Gardens or some bullshit like that.
Yeah.
It's like Van Damme got his butt kicked by Jack Zito.
Exactly.
You know those urban legends.
Yes. So the kids are like, that was that, and then so when we left Brooklyn, we got to Jersey. You know, this junior high school in Jersey. It's a bunch of white kids, mostly, well, some Jews, but mostly Gentiles. These like suburban, like whatever. And I was just like, where? I literally thought I went to a different planet. Like I literally thought my parents just put me on a spaceship. And I was just like, why the hell am I here? I was like, I don't want to be here. I think until I got my driver's license. So you're talking about like there was a 5-year span where I just was very miserable. Like I used to get on the dude, you know what I used to do on the weekends? I used to, like, when I was like 14, I used to get on the what is it called? The bus, Jersey Transit to Port Authority, and I used to take a train, 2 trains to my friend's house. This is a whole 2-hour trip to Brooklyn. I used to spend weekends in Brooklyn, and then my parents used to pick me up on Sunday nights.
You poor bastard.
And I used to go home right after watching Married with Children at my friend's house. We used to finish watching that, which is like 9 o'clock, 9:30, and then we would go home at 9:30, back to Jersey, back to miserable, and I would just survive the week in school, and then I would repeat the cycle, the Brooklyn cycle again. I used to look forward to going to Brooklyn.
Everything you've described is so bridge and tunnel. It sickens me.
It is, right? But I was forced into that predicament. It's not.
That's a lot of people don't know what that means. Bridge and tunnel.
Yeah.
That's what the Manhattan.
It's like, have you ever seen the movie Boiler Room, where they go to they have the outing, and then they go to that restaurant, and it's like these gay guys are sitting in the booth next to them, and then they start and then that what's his name, Scott Kahn, James Caan's son.
Well, why don't you guys go?
Yeah. No, well, he starts. Well, he starts talking to them, and the gay guy's like, well, we're not into the bridge and tunnel crowd, and then he's like, you know what they should do with you? We should put a flippin' island. He's like, guess what? You're on it.
Right.
And that's when I was like, wow, these guys, not only invaded Twilo, they've invaded everything.
Yeah. I think like Boiler Room was like a bootleg Glenn Ross.
It was. That's exactly what it was. Actually, Mammoth was actually that scene with what's his face, Affleck, always be closing.
Yeah.
It's he copied what's his name, Baldwin. It's the two biggest lefties in that scene. You have to the casting, central casting was spot on with that.
And they're both blockheads.
Yeah, they're the biggest a-holes. Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
I'm not. That's true too. But their heads are blocked.
I know.
Right? They're kind of like they have like.
I think that's the point.
No, they're handsome dudes, but they kind of have they kind of got like a boxy thing going on, right?
Yeah. I think that's the point. They wanted to depict that blockhead boss, like the blockhead, like always be closing. Douchewad.
Put the coffee down.
What?
Coffee is for closers.
Yeah. I love when he's like in Boiler Room. He's like, "Okay, Schleprock, get your shit," because he made fun of his whatever, the guy sitting next to him, the trainee or whatever. He's like, "Okay, get the F out of here." He's like, "Okay, yeah, that's right, Schleprock." So now anytime I get into an argument with somebody online, like political, and then they start with ad hominem attacks, like, if they start going there, and I just go like, "Looky here, Schleprock."
What am I missing? What is Schlep Rock?
Schleprock. He's like a schlep, and he's like rock, like Fraggle Rock, or Schoolhouse Rock, and then he's like Schleprock.
I don't get what is it? What is the Fraggle?
He's like schleppy. He's like Schleprock. I don't know. He's just like.
I get what schlep means. A schlepper, like he's a messy kind of like he's a mess.
Oh.
What's the rock?
You know who Schleprock was? Here. Is a real character. Bad Luck Schleprock is one of the main characters of Pebbles and Bam Bam Show, a spin-off of the original series of Flintstones. He was a helper and friend of Pebbles, Bam Bam, and their group.
This is a very, very esoteric.
It's very esoteric, but that's what he called him.
Schleprock.
Here, Schleprock is a gloomy, unlucky, and depressed teenager. What the heck? Oh my god. Known for having exceptionally bad luck and a friend of Pebbles Man. He often shows up and causes trouble for others, though unintentionally. I guess that's why he called him Schleprock. Physical appearance. Schleprock is short with fair skin. He wears a gray and black striped hat, which covers up his eyes. He also wears a shirt that is way too big.
Schleprock is just basically a goth kid.
Yeah, too big for him, and it drags on the floor when he walks, and it is held together by a white bone. So that's like, I guess, the caveman. So yeah, I guess like Schleprock fits. It's a guy that
Yeah, he's like Ali Sheedy from the Breakfast Club. That's what he looks like.
Yeah, and he cramps people's style. He cramped the guy's style, so he got kicked out. Ben Affleck kicked him out. Schleprock.
Wow. Yeah, no. So it's not just like some kind of
you learn something new every day.
Man, you know what this reminds me of? Just because of this is like Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah.
Like animation, right?
Yeah.
Captain Caveman. Remember Captain Caveman?
I heard the name, but I don't remember.
Captain Caveman. He's just like he looks like.
Oh, this guy. Yeah. The hairy. That's like
dude,
Cousin It's. It's like Cousin It's.
With the nose, just with a big nose sticking out. Eyes and a nose and Cousin It. Right? And he's cool, man.
He's like the original Lubavitcher.
No. Nah, man. He's more like a Ada,
Yeah.
Right? Sure. Ada. That's it. Yeah.
I'm looking at pictures of him as you're saying that.
He's a jigit.
Yeah. He looks like he can pound some shish kebabs, just like he.
No, but he's this guy's my man. He's cool, man. Ladies love him. The ladies love him.
Anyway, How do we get onto this?
I don't know, but
anyway, we were talking about like swatches and the gayness of New Jersey.
Yeah, man.
And the hardness of Brooklyn and having street cred in black neighborhoods. I don't know.
I didn't. You know where I had, ironically, I had respect from black dudes, and it didn't make any sense to me until later. I think I finally figured it out. I was in Antigua for like
the med school.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. And so I think I just so happened to be, that was like one of the 2 times that I was like in the best shape of my life, and I was kind of jacked.
Yeah.
I had long hair, and I was pretty dark.
You look like that dude. What's his name? Aquaman, the guy that plays Aquaman.
There was some kind of silhouette similarity. You know what I mean? Like the stuff that made up the middle is a little different. You know what I mean? He's a very handsome gentleman, right? Who actually married my childhood crush, Denise. Yeah. I shall kill him for this.
By the way, her daughter is a Yid. Technically, she's a Yid.
She's a Yid. I know, dude. Denise is my girl, bro.
She's halakhically a Yid, and that means their daughter is a Yid.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah, we know this. Yes.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Do you know how Denise was crazy? She's a nice looking lady. She held up pretty well.
Yeah, not bad. Well, black people age better than us. I mean, nobody should get offended by this.
No, black cracks. Don't believe that shit, okay? Bill Burr told us all about it. He's like, they said black don't crack, but he said that they all have like an entire barrel of lotion that they dunk themselves in.
Yeah, but that's fine.
Wow. Remember, he was talking about how when he was dating, he's married to a black lady, and I don't know, and like many years ago, before he was married, he was talking about dating a black lady. I don't know if it's the same lady, right? But he was having a conversation with her, and so he went to pick her up, and they were going out, and she's like, "Hold on, I gotta put on some lotion." He's like, "Come on, let's go." She goes, "No, I don't want to get ashy." He goes, "Ashy?" And then she's like, "You don't know what ashy is?" He goes, "No." He goes, "Ashy? I don't want, dry skin in the winter. Like, I don't want to get ashy." And he's like, "Come on, that's not real." She goes, "You don't think that's real?" She goes, "Hold out your arm." And then she scratches his arm, and she sees all the smoke and flakes start flying around it.
Oh my God.
He goes, "Holy shit, I'm ashy."
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my goodness. Huh. That's mad funny.
And he's like, "See, that's why white people and black people got to hang out together,
Yeah.
Because white people don't know anything about ashy, and black people don't know anything about registering their guns. You know what I mean? So like we can help each other, right? Yeah. We can give each other this kind of information. Whatever.
That's mad funny.
He used to be funny. Yeah. Anyway, so where are we going? What was we're trying to get back on point here.
Anyway,
okay, folks.
Yeah.
What was it? Oh yeah, Antigua, right?
Yeah.
So I was looking at, right, and I couldn't figure out what, so apparently in those islands,
yeah.
there is a family, a well-known family of Lebanese Christians, and they're called like Haddad or Hadid or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And they basically, they're like, they're like whatever, like the main, like, people. I don't want to say, I'm not going to say they're the mob. I'm not, but they're like, they're the big shots in that area of the world.
Yeah.
In those islands. And apparently they thought I was one of them because I kind of have that like olive skin newcomer look, except I was kind of jacked. And when you see some of these guys walking around, you see them walking around they got some muscle. They have a little bit of muscle protection. Do you understand? Like they got guys who are walking around who look very serious, who look kind of jacked. They look a little bit, Middle Eastern, right? Yeah. And they got ponytails, and they wear sunglasses, and I realized, holy shit, they picked up one of these guys.
That's absolutely hilarious.
So I benefited from that a little bit, I suppose.
That's hilarious.
Because the first time I realized it was like when because the medical students we made friends with the taxi drivers, because that's basically how we got around. So we got to know the taxi drivers in Antigua, which is a tiny island. There's only about 70,000 people on the whole island.
Yeah.
You can get to know them in an afternoon.
Yeah.
And they're not very friendly.
What?
They're kind of like in a bad mood a lot, you know. But it's
interesting.
Whatever. I mean, you get to know them, and kind of goes away. But it's funny. It's a very interesting culture. But basically, I was walking around with this one dude. He was taking me, and he was like, "Yo, man, I'm a little worried. Well, this is not the best area of Lake Antigua. It didn't look that bad to me, but to him, because he's just from a small island, and he sees some Rastas and he's scared of them, right? I was like, man, you got to go on Eastern Parkway one of these days. I'll take you." And this is a local. This is a black dude, a big black dude, local, Antiguan. All right, and he's like, what was his name?
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's like, "Yo, man, can you come with me? Because you don't look like a guy that you want to mess with. You know what I mean?" I'm like, really? It felt weird, dude. Yeah. It was weird. I didn't get it. I was like, there's something going on that I didn't get it. I was like, am I being punked?
Yeah.
It was a very strange experience.
That's very funny. Interesting.
Yeah, it was a little odd. But
you got street cred, basically. You.
I had some kind of undeserved street cred.
Yeah.
Which was an odd thing.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say?
So what the street cred? What can I say? Let's find our way back to something meaningful.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I just want to let you know before we go on with that. I'm at any moment now. I'm gonna get a text from a person who is working for myself and my partner, and then I'm going to have to order him an Uber. So I'll need the use of the phone.
That's good, man. To be continued.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
But so if we have a couple of minutes.
Yeah, we do.
Right?
Yeah, we have time.
So let's kind of let's bring it back on track to what you said originally. Remember, you asked me when we started.
Yeah.
The world of rectification.
Yeah.
Olam Hatikun.
Yeah.
And the world of chaos, the pre-Genesis universe, which is Olam Hatohu. Mm-hmm. Okay, so these are these two parallel realities that are existing, and we are we're kind of at a point of tension between these two realities. Okay, so we have to model our structure of stability after the world of rectification, and that has to do with the stable configuration of the Sefirot. Right, the 3 columns of the Sefirot that look like a human being.
Yeah.
That's the stable configuration. Mm-hmm. But we can't be there entirely. That represents the perfection that God is showing us that we have to try to emulate. But we're never going to reach it because we're being pulled back from that to a certain extent by the world of chaos.
Yeah.
Now, that was by design, because the world of chaos is a crazy mess, right? But that's the passion. That's where all the passion and the ferocious energy comes from. You understand? That's where excitement is. That's where love is. That's where passion is. That's what. So God wants us to figure out how to take that crazy energy, which keeps blowing up the worlds that this energy is passing through, and somehow channel it into this stable configuration.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's a point of tension between these two worlds, and we have to find that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Okay, and just to kind of so we can create a world where we can have the best of both worlds.
I feel like it's create a world that has actually has an authenticity. Because I feel like, I mean, again, man, like when I remember I was in yeshiva, I felt like a lot of the guys there lost their authenticity, and I felt like I was losing my authenticity. You know, and then somebody explained to me, you know, you learn in some of these safers that it's like, well, you know, you're basically breaking, you know, it's like you're being broken down to be built back up in a completely different way, right? That's what Hashem is doing to you. But in the process of that, you lose whatever you think is your authenticity.
It doesn't make that much sense being destroyed to be rebuilt back up. Yeah. Why? So basically, what they're saying is, don't focus too much on what Hashem brought you into.
Yeah.
Right? Like shed that entirely and become this new thing that doesn't.
Well, it's a Musar approach. That's a different school. That's the Litvak, and then now we're talking about the Hasidus. It's two different things.
Okay, but Bakst, Rabbi Bakst, he often talks about the Musar approach, and he has a completely different take on it. Like he reveals its essence, and it's totally not what you just. I know what you're describing. Like I feel that and I sense that, but real Musar is probably something much more profound than what anybody is really experiencing.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's really something to it, actually. Okay, I don't know how many people have access to it, but anyway, so that approach, whatever it is that we're actually experiencing, forget about whatever they're trying to call it. Okay, they can title it whatever they want. It ultimately doesn't make that much sense, because what you're doing is you're taking somebody who was excited, right, about Torah. He discovered something new about it. Okay, that energy, that excitement, is like they just douse it completely. They just they put it out. Okay, and it disappears, and the person just kind of like floating on autopilot, and they're like, what am I doing here? Why am I here? They forget what was it in the first place that attracted them to it. It's like you don't. Yeah. It's like you think that you're gonna be involved in the things that were interested you in the first place, and then you keep getting like pulled further and further away from that, because the promise was that you have to divert, you have to take this detour because you need some background stuff in order to get in order to really appreciate all that stuff that you were excited about, right? Yeah. Before you learn Kabbalah, you got to learn all these like basics. But when you're immersed in all that, in the basics, and you realize like, 2-3 months go by, and wait a minute, nothing here seems like, I can't recognize anything. Like I'm totally in unfamiliar waters, and there's nothing here that seems to resemble what I was attracted to.
Yeah.
That's what happens to people. That's what happened to me. Okay, so I made all the wrong decisions, I think. But, because, what got me involved was the Torah codes, right? I saw an article. I was waiting at a dentist, in a dentist waiting room, and there was an article from Popular Science magazine. They were doing something about statistics. It was this was in 1994, but this edition was from 1990. It was like an old magazine. And so I was reading this, and they had this back, folks. I know you were worried, but we're okay.
Yeah.
We're up that. And here's, so we were talking about.
You're muffled, man.
How about now?
Now it's better.
Okay. So we were discussing how some guys, when they when they want to learn Torah, when they first kind of get interested, they get excited about it. Mm-hmm. It's usually something to do with some kind of aspect of the Torah that they saw, which seems to be proof that it is divine. Mm-hmm. And that was my experience. I know others have had the same experience. Okay. And, it's usually just kind of like, they don't know what to focus on, but like they know that they want to be involved in that thing that got them excited in the first place. Like for me, it was Torah codes. Yeah. I learned about Torah codes first from Popular Science magazine, like 1990 or 1991 issue. And there was an article about where these statisticians, statistic mathematicians, were having a debate amongst themselves, and so you had half of them were religious Jews, were Orthodox Jews. They were also statisticians and computer scientists, and they were having a debate about whether or not these codes that they found in the Torah are proof of its divinity. And they were going back and forth, but I was like 12 or 13 when I was reading this article, and most of it was over my head. But I was like, why are these, like, serious people, these statisticians, having debates with these rabbis, which are not serious people? Yeah. So I thought, they're just like these religious guys, the guys who are involved in like mythology and that kind of stuff. Yeah. I didn't get it. Yeah. I didn't realize that the rabbis were not rabbis; they were also statisticians, but that came later. So, anyway, that's what intrigued me at first, and I kept looking into that, and I was like, what do you mean the Torah encodes information about things that happened, like in the future, like, so I started looking into that, and I started seeing example after example after example of just that, right? Yeah. And so to make a long story short, the mathematical aspects of the Torah were like mind-blowing to me. It got me all excited. I'm like, wow. So the Torah is real. God is real. What are the implications? So you get all excited and you want to get involved in this thing. And then when you try to get involved, you end up getting like veered off of that. And they try to like push you into something else, which is important, but it also doesn't make sense. Like, that's not why I came here. It doesn't make sense. And then you get lost after a while. Like, what am I doing? I don't recognize, when you're in yeshiva and you're wearing a black suit and a black hat, and you're like, I'm not involved in anything that originally got me excited to be here in the first place. And I think that's a huge problem that a lot of, like, people from our background experience. Yeah. That's just it's no good. Yeah. But what was the main point? How did we get to this? We were talking about tohu. Yeah. We were talking about chaos and rectification, right?
Yeah, just what's going on in the from world that where they're just not interested in integrating their past lives into, clearly their past lives made them who they are. They wouldn't even get to this point without those past lives. Not only that, Hashem, it's kind of like, these guys know the Torah and they read the Chumash, and the Chumash talks about events that led up to, let's say Yosef becoming great, right? Or the events that led up to this person becoming, and these were like very, very, events with a lot of, it's like a checkered past. It's a checkered, existence, or a checkered or a checkered story. So why would they not want to, like, I don't say emulate that? Why would they not understand? Well, hey, they're part of that chain. You're a Jew and you're part of that chain.
Because they don't see themselves as part of that chain. You see, there was
but that's crazy because they work in Kirov. What do you mean they don't see it themselves?
I understand. But see, the thing is, like, it's very difficult. Like, when you read the Gemara, right? And you read the Agadata, and you read the descriptions, especially when you are familiar with Kabbalistic concepts. Everything is about sex and passion.
Yeah.
Channeling it properly, but having that experience in the right way, which also happens to be the most intense, right?
Yeah.
And that's our connection with God. Like, that's God's project. That's his whole, department.
Yeah.
Everything's a department, but that's like the main point.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All of that is like skirted over. Like, no one, like, there's just not.
I feel like there's been just a I spoke about this with my friend. Catholicization of Judaism. Catholicization of Judaism. It's a sexual repression going on.
Right, but it's layers upon layers, because now it's not just Catholicization. Yeah. It's also about like some kind of mix of like
it's almost like
there's
Buddhist,
a lot of there's a lot Buddhist of modern psychological like feminism too, where there's like layers and layers of this shit. But the point is that it's almost Victorian in a lot of ways. The feminism that was happening.
Of course, it's pure.
Like we're going past that. Yeah. So kind of like weird, kind of like liberal Puritan. Anyway, the point is that there's layers and layers
which has nothing to do with like what Bar Kokhba would be like or whomever.
We didn't realize that that the community as we have it now, right, is layers and layers of klippa between the actual meaning of the teachings that they're learning. There's a disconnect.
I think the Rav Kook community in Israel is trying to bring back the realness or at least for that's adaptable to this day and age of what we're supposed to be doing. I think they're the closest to what I saw. If you take away their stupidity with the what these days, unfortunately.
Dude, the rabbis, right?
Mm-hmm.
From the Gemara, the rabbis, even from the times of Rambam, even from the Middle Ages, were warriors, literal warriors.
I know.
Not in some kind of symbolic way where, let's go out, some kind of Kiruv warriors. No, they were fucking sword warriors with fucking swords.
I know.
Okay? They, like, for instance, there's a rabbi after he was the head of the Sephardic community that had to flee to Holland after the Inquisition.
That's how you got that's how you get the Spanish Portuguese synagogue in Amsterdam. Something like that.
His name was I forgot his name, but there was a book. I let somebody borrow it and never saw it again. It was called this is a hilarious title. It's called The Jewish Pirates of the Caribbean.
I think I heard about this.
That book is so good. It's such a funny title.
Jewish
but it's so
Pirates.
I can't recommend it.
Edward Kritzler, $7 on eBay.
$7, man. That treasure for $7.
Jewish
anyway,
Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, they have it for $14 on new, and they have a used $5 on. Maybe I'll just get this now. $5 used.
Just get it, but basically there
$9.
Wow. One of the famous pirate captains, right, was a rabbi who was the head of this community, right, and he was trying to get back some of the stolen wealth that the Spaniards stole from all the Jewish estates.
I'm getting this book now.
That were left behind.
I'm getting this book right now. Yeah.
He wanted to get revenge, and he did, and he was one of the famous pirate captains.
Yeah.
He focused on attacking the Spanish galleons or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was some crazy shit, and also there was, even during that time, there was another. He wasn't really a pirate, but he was like the second in command of the Ottoman Navy, and his name was Sinan, S-I-N. He was a Jewish guy, and he was second in command to the head of the entire. I think they called him the Pasha of the Ottoman Navy. This was during the time of the Inquisition.
Yeah.
And his name was Barbarossa.
Mm.
Okay, and I know this sounds like Pirates of the Caribbean, but he was like a half Greek, half Turkish dude or something like that, and somehow he became whatever. Yeah. So Sinan was his first, was like whatever. Yeah. So there was this episode where Spaniards kidnapped Sinan's son. Yeah. And they hid him away at some monastery on some island. Yeah. He mobilized the entire Ottoman Navy. That's funny. To blast the shit out of this town where his son was being held, and then finally got him back somehow. It was, dude. These are not. This is not Lakewood.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that.
Right, like the Maccabees, right? Yeah. These dudes. I mean, look. Apparently, when they started out, they were just kind of, they're a couple of like an older kind of like aging, Kahane. Yeah. Right. That they just took. They took on the Greeks, and there's a lot of miraculous things going on. But they picked up swords and they went, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So my point is that real Torah tradition has an edge, a real life edge,
of course,
with real life stuff, with real life passion, with real life conflict, and everything that we see now is like sterilized, and it's Sesame Street all the way through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
And nobody's allowed to be real. Nobody can get past childhood.
It's awful. It's awful. I don't know what. It's really bad.
Okay. Yeah. I think this is one of the things that Bart Sadok rails about all the time, and he's basically right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Torah is for living, breathing adults with lots of energy and passion. There are vessels to channel that into.
Yeah.
But you just, there's nothing, like if you look at the Orthodox community, there's nothing available.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all secret. Anybody who gets on that level, that's those, that's the Kabbalists. That's secret. The Kabbalists are just the most they're the most normal dudes in Orthodox communities.
Yeah. Of course. I notice that when I meet them in person.
Sometimes they look like, are you an adult? Yeah, we actually have a conversation, or are you one of these babies?
No, they're like the most authentic, that I've met.
Right, I noticed that. It's like when I would meet these guys, you would think, I have to be at my best behavior, and I have to pretend like I'm this little angel that doesn't have any thoughts, right? But they're looking at you like, dude, are you one of these guys, or are you like normal?
Dude, when I meet these guys, unfortunately, and I have nothing against them personally, I actually feel bad for them. When I meet these kids who I see who are, they went to, I'm not going to name the yeshiva, there's a particular yeshiva, there's two of them in a certain neighborhood in Jerusalem, or just outside of Jerusalem, let's say, and I meet them. Some of them are single, some of them are married. And even the married guys, it's like they're
gone.
They look like blank man. Yeah, they're gone. They're like,
I've seen that too.
There's nothing there. And if they see me like joke, I'm like being who I am and joking around and this and that. It's almost like I make them feel uncomfortable. It's like they look at me like, that's not supposed to happen in yeshiva. That's not what comes out of yeshiva. This guy's cramping my yeshiva style. Like, I see how they look at me, like, and I'm just like, dude, just get real.
So it seems to like,
just get real.
You took the guy from Tohu, and you stuffed him into the opposite extreme, which is equally as bad.
Yeah. And now he's like married to this like girl who needs a man. Even if she grew up FFB or whatever she grew up, she needs a man. you know, and he's a shadow of that. But the reason she married him is because he fits into some particular box. You know.
Look, a lot of guys either they get destroyed.
Yeah.
In this process.
Yeah.
There's nothing left of them. They're or they allow it to happen to them, or it's done to them. It's hard to really know.
Yeah.
But it's disastrous.
I know. I see it. It almost happened to me, and that's, I think, part of why. I mean, whatever. Everything happens for a reason, but that's part of why probably my relationship didn't work out, my engagement, because I was like half in that mode, half. You know.
Yeah.
And it on some level it emasculated me, which was horrible. Like I felt it.
There's the only recommendation that the only solution for any of this, like just general, right, is to read Torah and take the stories to heart and read everything.
Yeah.
And for instance, Reish Lakish.
Yeah.
He saw. Was it Rabbi Yoshua or was it Rabbi Yoshua? Who was his best friend? It was Reish Lakish.
Hold on.
It was either Rabbi
Jamie, pull that up. Rabbi Yochanan.
Was it Yochanan, right?
Yeah. Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish.
Right. So they became best friends. But Reish Lakish was a
crook,
circus performer, a gladiator,
a
highway robber.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a bandit.
For most of his life.
Yeah.
He was a murderer.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
He robbed people.
Yeah.
And he performed in circuses.
Yeah.
And he had super, just like the rest of these rabbis, they were kind of like, almost supernatural abilities. He had supernatural physical strength and physical abilities.
Yeah.
So he saw what he thought was a beautiful woman bathing in a river.
Yeah.
And she had this gorgeous blonde locks.
Famous story.
Right? Yeah. And he just saw the beautiful hair. He didn't really see the whole woman.
It's kind of like today. It's kind of like today, the phenomenon we have today.
Yeah. So he leapt. So the description is...
He saw the sheitel. He didn't see the rest of what was going on over there.
He didn't see the sheitel. He saw beautiful...
I know, I'm kidding.
Beautiful hair. You're diminishing my story. I'll kick your ass. So basically, he's jumping across. I'll get Reish Lakish to kick your ass. He's jumping across.
B'ezrat Hashem, Mashiach will come soon. Whatever.
Yeah, man. With one leap, he jumped across the entire river because he wanted to ravage. Apparently this woman that he saw. And he saw that it wasn't a woman at all when he saw, from the front side. So it was Rabbi Yochanan.
Sounds like a trip to Thailand.
No. See, I knew you were going to say that. It's not. Once he got close enough, he saw that it was just a guy who had pretty hair. Yeah. Guy, that happens sometimes, okay? Yeah. So what Rabbi Yochanan said to him, he said, if you were to take that strength, that supernatural strength of yours, and channel it into the Torah, I will give you my sister, who has my beauty, but tenfold, something like that, right? Yeah. Meaning, like, and Rabbi Yochanan was known as he was Tom Cruise of his day, basically. Yeah. Tom Cruise ain't got nothing on Rabbi Yochanan, basically. Yeah. He was like the Yosef of his time. Yeah. Right? So Reish Lakish was like this, interesting character. He's like represents the most tohu of the tohu backgrounds. And he jammed that energy into the Torah, and he found the right vessels. Like, it was satisfying enough for him, right? So that's the point. You could see that if Reish Lakish did it, there must be, go take a look to see where did he channel that energy into? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And also, and these guys were like, they were essentially superhuman. They were else. Yeah. And also their interactions were very powerful. Yeah. You remember how Reish Lakish died? He died of a broken. He actually died of a broken heart. Yeah. You have this like mighty warrior, this gladiator, this this dude, who was a gritty background. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what happened? It was when Rabbi Yochanan made a comment to him. This his best friend made a comment to him about the way he was, some of the bad stuff that he was involved with back in the past, and that hurt Reish Lakish so bad that he couldn't recover. He literally collapsed emotionally and died.
Yeah.
And Rabbi Yochanan, who made that comment, he died going crazy.
Yeah.
Because first of all, he lost his friend, and that was like his brother.
Yeah.
And now that was like basically his second half. Yeah. Because even legally, even their spiritual connection, they were rabbis who were experts in making legal rulings on very important things, very high spiritual matters, and they were a pair. They worked off of each other. Often they disagreed, but
what are they called? Zugot.
Right, right. But they were. This wasn't just like a couple of knuckleheads who were good friends. Their interaction, their relationship was important for the whole world. So definitely all of Israel, but also for the whole world. And something very, very complex happened. And so it ended tragically. Reish Lakish died of a broken heart, and Rabbi Yochanan, he died going crazy for what resulted from what he said to him.
Yeah.
And it even says, like, you would hear him screaming, trying to talk to Reish Lakish like he would try to have like conversations in the study hall with him, like debates, but there was like no one there. You know what I mean? Like he couldn't deal with the fact that there was no one to hit the ball back to him.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's
so
absolutely insane.
But why am I telling this story? It just shows that this is not Lakewood.
I know. Craziness, right? Man.
Yeah. This was strong, real, like energy, like powerful energy, like high voltage stuff. Everything Torah is high voltage, but you wouldn't tell that because no one actually comes near the Torah. They learn about it, they read it. It's kind of like going to a museum, a Torah museum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where the rabbis have become exhibits, some historical exhibits. But
is everything that we're talking about just a product of Gullus? I mean, that's all it seems like it is. That's the only thing it is. You can't it's almost like you can't blame these people.
No, of course not.
You can't blame Kiruv. You can't blame Haredi World.
This is God's fault.
You can't blame Or Sameach or Aish or Machon this or Machon that.
No.
You can't blame any of these freaking people.
No, they're doing what they can.
It's mad Gullus. It's Gullus on crack.
Everybody we're railing against is not guilty of. It's not even their fault that this is happening.
Wait, so here's my question: if it's not their fault this is happening, so how come there are certain yeshivas and I guess movements or groups of people that are getting it, that have gotten it and have?
You're talking about fed up individuals or fed up groups of like individuals that are trying to reconnect.
I don't know. I don't know if they're fed up. I think they've just been doing it they actually have been doing it for a while. Some of them are like part of the Rav Kook thing. Some of them are just doing their own thing, but they exist. And meaning if they exist. Then the people that are doing it the wrong way have no excuse not to not do it the right way. You know what I'm saying?
They do. They have a lot of excuses.
Okay.
Because there's so much doubt about everything.
It's so terrible. Okay? It's so terrible.
The connection, the situation that we're living in right now is where you don't know this guy's shita is not. My rabbi says that his shita is wrong.
Dude, do you know who I feel like right now?
No, but they might be right. That's the problem.
I know, but do you know who I feel like right now? I feel like in one of those karate movies where the guy goes to learn, I don't know, Taekwondo or something like that or whatever, some system, and there's like these drills, and like he's doing them, and maybe he gets up to like a certain level, some belt, right? And then he wonders like, hey, like he knows that out somewhere out there is Jeet Kune Do. And then years later, he discovers Jeet Kune Do, and then he discovers that this entire time he could have just been learning Jeet Kune Do instead of doing robot kicks, like robot chicken.
I hear what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? What was the point of those stupid robot kicks?
Let me polish what you're saying.
Okay.
This is what I think that you really are trying to. So.
By the way, you're muffled again.
I don't know why I'm speaking right into it.
Okay, maybe you're too close to it. I don't know. I think you're better now. Okay.
Can't win. You can't win.
Can't win them all.
So if you want to know how to succeed in martial arts, if you want to know how to succeed in Torah, you got to do what the masters did. You got to read about their experience, what they went through, right? For instance, Morway Waishiba he's the guy who founded Aikido.
Yeah.
And this guy is a genuine phenomenon. Okay? Supernatural levels. So what did he do? He traveled around Japan and he tried to learn from all the dudes who were famous, not for teaching, not for having a school, but for fighting.
Yeah.
The actual warriors who use it for their job and practice. One of the famous guys that he learned from, and I'm probably screwing up his name. I believe his name is Takeda Sekaku.
Takeda what?
Takeda Sebaku. Takeda Sebaku.
Hold on.
You next to a computer?
Yeah, I'm looking. Sokaku. Takeda Sokaku.
Sekaku, okay.
Yeah, he is known as the founder of jiu-jitsu known as Daito Ryu Aiki Jujutsu. Yeah.
So he's one of the teachers of Morway Waishiba, the founder of Aikido. And this guy used to actually, they used to prove themselves by fighting. And they were serious. Yeah. And this guy was cool. Like he looked like he wore the original, the old school, Japanese his get up, but he wore a bowler hat. He looked like a tough dude, right? So what did Waishiba do? Waishiba, he was the son of he was slightly, I think, from a wealthy family, so he was able to get this guy to pay him to come and come stay with me, teach me everything. I'll take care of you. I'll make sure that you want for nothing, and so he would wake up at 2:00 in the morning to like massage this guy's feet, whatever, some crazy Japanese stuff.
Pristine thing that we talked about. Perfect thing.
Right. So he talked about. He goes, look, one of the things the guy told me, you have to have your grip is everything, and there's a certain physical strength that you have to work on, right? Tendon strength and your grip. So he would hang from a tree limb for like 2 hours a day, just working on his grip. Like, these guys were dedicated. They were not joking around. They weren't extreme for the sake of being extreme. Their dedication looked extreme, but it wasn't extreme. It was actually normal. If you want to succeed, if you want to really get to the bottom of something, you commit to it entirely. All right, but there's not a lot of people who are willing to go that far. You understand? Some people are not, are maybe don't even have the opportunity to do that. Okay, but so you that's applied to Torah as well. you understand? Like, there are real people out there. There are true practitioners of the prophetic traditions that we've had since the beginning, and they go and they travel. They make the ascents, and they interact with all of the angels and everything, and all the souls and everything. It's all real. It's not. It's objective reality, not subjective. Okay, so you gotta have a little bit of grit to do this. And I'm not speaking from experience, okay?
Yeah.
But and the thing is that this is not this is not supposed to be just for the adventurous or for the brave.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be for everybody.
Yeah.
So it's not weird and it's not extreme. This is the point of existence, is to interact with God in all the available ways.
Yeah.
Okay? So have all the experiences that are there, that are available. Like these things that were once considered pure, holy, and innocent. Kabbalah, meditation, study, the names. Now it has this air of like creepy mystery because now people are too scared to dabble in it. Oh, that's for the high people. That's I'm too simple for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's misplaced humility. That's too humble.
It's not humility. It's like some sort of
it's an excuse.
It's actually, if anything, it's like patronizing.
You humbled your way out of the point.
Out of like some kind of
You're so humble that now you're not even like doing
you humbled your way out of substance. Let's put it this way. Out of something substantive.
Right. Yeah, what's the next step? I'm too humble to put on film. Film is such a lofty thing that it shouldn't touch my wretched skin. I'm too humble for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is like that's the direction that this mindset is.
Yeah.
Like why did you? So basically, this whole thing about not learning Kabbalah, that is a very, very severe clip on.
Yeah, of course.
And people don't understand that, and even people who quote the Ari, right? Like you got like maybe some literature guys who quote the Ari, and they quote the Vilna Gaon, right? He's apparently supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
He was the biggest Kabbalist of them all.
Yeah.
But they totally skirt over that entirely.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
There's that who learns the the Gaon's Kabbalistic teachings.
Yeah, Kol HaTorah. Listen, I heard about Kol HaTorah for a while. That was one of the first things. Like,
so that book by Rabbi Bax, the secret, the doctrine of the Gaon of Vilna.
That's Kol HaTorah.
That's the translation of like of 4 chapters in Kol HaTorah.
Yeah.
Not the whole Kol HaTorah.
Listen, you know how I know the Kol HaTorah, about the Kol HaTorah? You know that there's like this Anglo Mashiach blogosphere that I read, and a few of these people, these like American Olim, older people, they mention Kol HaTorah. There's one guy actually. He's actually in Chicago, but he's like a genius. I'll send you his. It's a blog called his name is Yaakov, Yoranen Yaakov blog. The guy's into like gematrias. He's into all this kind, whatever. He like tries to figure out like when Mashiach's coming, whatever. So he gets into like Kol HaTorah and all these kind of things. It's different sources. That's not the only one. That's the only reason I know that.
Rabbi Weisberg is his whole attempt is to bridge the gap between the Gaon and Chassidut.
Yeah. Oh, Isser Weisberg. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's great. Yeah.
We gotta like really take the initiative and start getting.
We gotta get these guys. We gotta get these guys on. Reuven Wolf. Yeah. We should
These
get.
Are the guys.
We should get.
These guys are like the closest thing to what we're describing.
I know, which is at the same time sad, but it's actually great that we have them around at least.
It's not sad because like they're trying. Like you see these guys are real. They're trying to accomplish something, and they're also pulling their hair out.
So is Bart Tzadok for sure is trying to accomplish something.
Yeah. Bart Tzadok. It's funny, like Bart Tzadok, Reuven Wolf, Rabbi Kessin, even though he's like, he seems kind of like he tries to be like laid back.
He seems Lakewood, but he's not. He's not fully.
No, it's not that. No, he seems to be like he tries to be mellow and laid back.
Yeah.
He's pulling his hair out like Rupin Wolf and Esther Weisberg and Bart Sadok.
Yeah.
They're all trying to make something. They're trying to make Torah real.
Yeah.
Or they're trying to make it real for themselves and for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And but in some way, like these guys are like way above me, like in terms of their knowledge and their experience.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you could see that they have that like that human frustration.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Where, like, have you ever tried to talk to like people about like Mashiach seriously? Is there anybody that you've talked that? Have you ever spoken to? How many people that you've spoken to, that you talk to them and say, "Do you actually believe that this is going to happen?"
The only people that I spoken to who believe in Mashiach are either Lubavitchers or my Baal Tshuva friends.
That take it seriously, right?
Like modern Orthodox people don't give a rat's ass, really. And for any modern Orthodox people listening to this, it's true. You don't, and they admit that they don't, or like they don't say they don't give a rat's ass. They just say like, "Oh, we don't know. Let's live our life. Let's this. Let's that. Whatever." And then there's like, you know, the kind of yeshivish world. Most of them kind of gloss over it. Or when you say, "Yeah, Mashiach should come," you know, they're like, "Yeah, man," you know, like patronizingly, kind of cute. They think it's cute. You know? Sephardim are a little more serious about it. Even Sephardi Haredim, you know, they're more serious about it. Lubavitcher, Sephardi Haredim, my Baal Tshuva crazy friends, you know, the ones like me. Rabbi Kessin I speak to, so he's obviously all over that. But
I get that from Rabbi Wolf and Rabbi Kessin and Rabbi Berg. Yeah. These guys are serious about Mashiach.
Yeah.
And Bart Sadok is also takes Mashiach seriously, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. I don't think he thinks that you know that he's. It's very hard to get a straight answer from him about what he actually thinks, whether or not Mashiach is coming, or is it going to come in our lifetime, and all this kind of. But I don't look to him for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everybody has their strong suits. Nobody's perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But those are the three people that seem to take Mashiach seriously.
Yeah.
Manus Friedman takes Mashiach seriously, but I can't get the full.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
I hear. Listen.
Is it an alternate universe? Is it some kind of some kind of like spiritual reality that we may not be fully aware of, that is acting upon us subconsciously? Or is it a guy who's going to come and I can shake his hand, or I can see him, and people are going to be, you know what I mean? Like, when is it going to be here on the ground, feet on the ground?
Yeah.
I don't care about the other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but you can't also attack these people.
Yeah.
Because they're stuck here too. You know what I mean? They're in the same jam that we were in. They're trying to figure it out. I think. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Listen, Hashem is concealed fully. Mashiach is concealed partially.
Yeah, he's doing his dolphin routine. You know, jumping in and out of the water.
Yeah.
So the last time I saw him was during the Trump presidency.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even him. It was like, you know, it was kind of like, he was like throwing hints. He's like, you know, leaving messages like, yo, I'm here, you know what I mean? Like, he's leaving codes and stuff, you know? But, like, enough of this. Enough, man. Like, you want to say, come on, dude, like, pardon my language. I know you're like the king of the kings and all that kind of stuff, but when is it? What it's trying to? What's that expression? It's time to either do your business or get off the pot, right?
Yeah.
That old expression.
Yeah.
It's very vulgar, but it's kind of like that's what it is, though. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
That's the thing about. We could end off on this.
Yeah.
I'll give you a couple of examples. The problem that people who are trying to be real and they want to be in the Torah world, there's a conflict where you can't say what's really inside your heart and your mind. It's not accepted, just to use a couple of funny examples, right? Like, let's say I've heard this before. I've heard when I was younger, much younger, girls said this to me, and I heard this girls saying this to other dudes, some of my friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when they were playing games, and they're like, yeah, I really, what? Instead of bringing examples from my own life, let me bring that. Remember that movie Wet Hot American Summer?
Yes.
Remember when the protagonist, he was, he did the whole 80s montage heroic thing to impress the girl.
Yeah.
Right. So he did all that, and then she was encouraging him, and it seemed like it was going to happen for him, right?
Yeah.
But then in the end, she's like, it's all very cool and everything, and I could see myself having like a meaningful relationship with you, and I appreciate all the stuff that I did, and I did send you all these like mixed signals, but I just want to. He's really good looking, and I just want to have sex. Well, maybe when I'm done with him, we can have something.
Yeah.
So okay. So imagine that happens. Let's adapt that to the religious world or whatever, right? Like something like that happens.
Yeah.
It's not a great example, but on the outward appearance, how are you supposed to react to that? Like, yeah, all right, like I understand, and you're supposed to be like adult, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your reaction, right, does not match what's going on inside.
Yeah. Because
you're supposed to say, yeah, okay, fine, whatever you want, but on the inside, you're like, bitch, die.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's there's a very wide. There's a
chasm. There's a chasm.
A very wide chasm. There's what? I'm getting zapped again.
By who? Oh, by Zook Meta.
But I don't know what I'm getting zapped by, but what is wrong with me? People go out to Wyoming or Arizona to see the Grand Canyon. I'm looking for the word canyon. Damn, dude. Canyon.
Chasm.
Okay. Right, but the chasm is but I'm talking about a canyon.
Yeah.
There's a canyon, a grand one, between what you're supposed to do and what you're supposed to say and how you actually feel. That's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what we have Larry David for. Because he does the things on the show, his character, and says that he can't say in real life, and none of us can. Even though some of us do, like me, and that's why I have like 2 friends.
That's why I was kicked out of yeshiva.
Exactly, verstees.
All right, I'm kicked out of almost everything, but
and so was Sylvester Stallone, and look where he's at.
He's over here in Hollywood, Florida.
Is he? He lives in Florida, in Hollywood, Florida.
Yeah, man, he's a local guy.
Oh my god.
He's funny. It's like there's like random dudes that I talk to, right? They're like, oh man, it's crazy thing. I saw Sylvester Stallone. He's like, oh, let's go have a bite to eat. Oh, here's my father's house. Like he's one of those guys. He's like, let's come over to play cards.
Yeah, he's talking to his daughters on his podcast about how he got kicked out. He was in some. Whatever, he got kicked out of all these different schools. He didn't fit in because all he wanted to do was like art, like draw or write.
Yeah.
But he's like, and then he said how he's trying to be an actor, but everybody told him that he should just be like an extra. This is like in the 70s, because he had like a speech impediment, and he had like slurred speech, and then he had like a weird. His mouth was screwed up. You saw obviously, and then there's that famous story of him. He actually went to do those movies. Like the movies you're not supposed to do. He did that stuff just to like make money. You know that, right?
Yes.
And then,
yes,
I think he did it once, and then after that, he actually like wrote Rocky shortly thereafter, and then and the rest is history.
And then he did Rhinestone Cowboy. Bless his heart. But he is a legitimate. No, Stallone. Yeah. There's nothing you can say about him. He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
He's. I hope he kept his mouth shut. That he didn't screw up like stupid Arnold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
Like I have to separate. Like Arnold has become like Michael Jackson to me now, where I got to separate like everything before, Thriller. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't doing that stuff while he was doing Thriller, right?
Yeah.
So Arnold wasn't a schmuck when he was doing Predator. Yeah. Like I could watch clips of Predator.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like watching literally a different person with different opinions and different thoughts. I sometimes think like these people are like different. They're not even like the same like they're just clones of the original, and they are now like they killed off the old one. They cloned themselves and then they killed off the old one. The one with stupid opinions. The one with good opinions.
It's a very complicated way of saying people just became bitch asses over time.
Yeah, or just got sold out. You know who became the biggest bitch ass? Howard Stern.
Baggy leftists.
Howard Stern became the biggest. My mom used to listen to him every morning. She used to drive me to high school. She used to listen to him on K-Rock and 92.3. She's like,
I never liked him. My dad liked him. I never liked him.
She used to love him, and I kind of got into him because of her. And she's like, he's a disgusting Jew idiot, but he's very funny.
Is he Jewish? Is he?
He's fully, bro. Unfortunately.
Didn't he say that his mom was like half Italian, half black in the movie?
No, because he went to Roosevelt High School, so he had to like pretend that he was like down with the black kids, so he get his ass kicked.
Let it be their problem.
Seriously, yeah, right. No, it's a black. He's like one of the many black stains we have in our nation, unfortunately. Like
man, whatever. Like he just. What is wrong with these fucking guys?
It's colorless, man. Listen, if they're the degenerates back then, they're always going to be degenerates. It's just a matter of which buttons you press.
No, he's not always. None of us are always going to be degenerates.
No. I'm saying he was a degenerate then. There was never a tikkun. He never did a tikkun.
He grossed me out.
Yeah.
A lot. Like he's such a sleaze bag. You know
do you know that his daughter?
He would have like these actresses.
Hello.
Why would he ask actresses about their bathroom habits?
Do you know that his daughter is frum?
Oh my God.
She's a frum yid. I think she lives in Upper West Side, Baruch Hashem. So, you know what they say. Amalek's relatives are in Bnei Brak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there you go.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I just I don't sleep. I don't get sleaze. Like I'm a sinner. I'm not proud of it. I'm just saying that but I don't get sleazy shit. That I don't understand what that is. What is that about? I don't know. What is that clip of? Where does that come from? Or what is the origin of that? I don't even get it. It's like infantile. I don't know. That's when I see Howard Stern and I remember his show.
Yeah.
It sickens me. I don't even know why did he become so popular.
Because he was just he was like a shock to the system. All these radio hosts, even like that Don Imus guy was like, whatever.
Way funnier.
What? What?
Imus is way funnier than Howard.
Yeah, but then he said nappy-headed hose, and that was the end of that.
That's hilarious.
Of course, it's hilarious.
Do you know how funny that is? Dude. I thought it was funny, but then I realized the comic genius of it. when Patrice O'Neal they asked him to comment on it, man. They expected him to be like, "Oh, that's terrible." He goes, "Leave Imus alone. That shit was hilarious." He said, "Nappy-headed hoes." Do you know how funny that is?
Yeah.
God bless Patrice, man. That guy is just.
Anyway, let's. I think we got like a good 3 hours of this stuff, man.
Break it up.
No, I'll break it. Fine.
No, whatever you want, man. This is your. Hey, listen. It's your world. I'm just living in it. You know, you're my bag of pearls, right?
I don't even know where that's from, and I don't know where that's from, and I don't want to know.
That's from Woo, I believe. Remember that movie Woo?
Woo? Oh, Woo. With is that Wesley Snipes?
No, with Jada Pinkett Smith, and I think Tommy Davidson was in it, and she was Woo. And she's like this. She's like a beautiful black girl, right?
Yeah, W-O-O.
Like a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
And there was this funny scene where, like, they were at some club, and there was like this black girl sitting on a car, and then this black dude came up to. He goes, I don't remember her name. He's like, "Yo, Wendy, you know you're my bag of pearls and shit, but get your fat ass off my car. You're making a dent in the hood or something like that."
Yeah.
The way he delivered that, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff is funny, and it just hits you a certain way. It's not even the words that they say. It's just kind of like, it's so like, I don't even know what it is. It's funny. Yeah. You know, remember one of the funniest things? You ever see Baby Boy?
Yeah.
Remember Snoop Dogg? He gets out of jail and he goes over his like old girlfriend's house who I think she's dating like Baby Boy, whoever Baby Boy.
I think it was a Tyrese, no?
I'm not sure.
I think it was Tyrese. I think it was Tyrese because he's like
It was like maybe him and then like Cuba Gooding. Speaking of like semi-famous brothers.
Yeah.
Cuba Gooding Jr.'s brothers or like that.
Yeah.
No, but whatever. So Snoop Dogg, he gets out of jail. You know, he's all jailed up.
Yeah.
Right, and then he goes over to his old girlfriend's house and he's like, "So what's up?" You know, and I think she told him that she's not interested.
Yo, what's up? Yo, what's up?
And then he's looking, and then the little kid.
Yo, what's up?
Yeah.
No,
but what he said, he was like, one of her kids was there, and he was kind of like looking at him, and he's like, "Fuck you looking at, you little nut," He said that. The way he said that, it wasn't even what he said. It was like the way he kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. Slurred it, angled it a certain way. That shit is hilarious.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, hello?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I thought you hung up. Anyway, that's been a journey, man.
Yeah.
That's been a journey. So what else? That's basically it. So what's the solution for these guys ultimately? These guys who
the solution for these guys is to emulate Morway like Sheba. Get serious, dedicate your entire life. Find the dudes that are really
who's going to get them to do that? Who's going to hold their hand to lead them to that well?
Listen, they got it. Nobody can. If anybody who hears this, who falls into the category of somebody that needs to hear it, that's it. You fucking heard it. You don't need an invitation.
I hear.
This is not a trial run.
Yeah.
This is time's ticking. Get to it. That's all. I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, same. Yeah. All right.
Find your Takeda Sakaku and get to work.
We give all the Balshuva yeshiva guys a bracha to stop being a bitch, something.
Don't let them do it to you.
Don't let them do it to you, and don't, it almost happened to me. It almost happened to my friend, maybe. It happened to a lot of guys I know. And just keep it real. Because that's what Hashem wants. Hashem wants real. He really does not want your fake it till you make it. He doesn't want that at all.
If you thought that by going to yeshiva you were going to learn how to be a wizard like Harry Potter, hold on to that.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. I'm not trying to be a smart ass, or I'm not even saying that in a prickish way. Hold on to that, because that's real.
Yeah.
It can be. Yeah. You have to just find your Hogwarts. Don't give up.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right, sir.
All right, man.
Shkoyach, and that was dope.
All right, brother.
All right. We shall speak again.
Yes, sir.
All right. Later.